KFSR at CMAC present the Central Valley Ledger, a public affairs program featuring stories from all over the Central Valley with Sevag 90.7 KFSR.
Welcome to another edition of the Central Valley Ledger. We're recording out of the beautiful downtown Fresno studios of the Community Media Access Collaborative, Fresno and Clovis. Now, if you're watching this broadcast, you'll notice that I'm in the guest chair for this program, and that's because who I thought was going to be the guest, Jackie Ryle, has kind of turned the tables around on us. Jackie, what's going on here?
Well, Sevag, if you recall, I believe that we came to terms in realizing that we met probably 20 years ago when you were 17 and you were in Councilmember Tom Boyajian's office.
Yeah.
Going to Fresno State, working down, and I interviewed you for a show called City in Action.
I remember.
That was a city show. And so I was thinking, as I was coming to see you this evening, that that's how we started out. And you've interviewed me here before, which I really, really enjoy. But I said, you know, Sevag Tediosin has a great story. How about I interview him? And you were gracious and said I could do that. So thank you.
I thought, how interesting. I mean, the roles are reversed, and it puts me in the spot because I didn't expect this. But I'm glad to answer any questions that you have because, you know, I am a fan of yours. Way back over 20 years ago when I first met you and you did City in Action, I thought, what a passionate, energized lady.
Yes, and Sevag, I am a fan of yours, and it has been fascinating for me to watch you over the years do what you've done. And I said, this is a story that the community needs to know because, Sevag, the community does know you. They've seen you on this show. They've seen when you've been written over the years, wonderful columns for the Fresno Bee. You've been out there. And so here's where I would like to start, if we could.
Sure.
I met you. You were a young boy working for a council member. If you would maybe just talk a little bit about sort of this evolution, how you got started doing that, being at Fresno State, and then kind of where that took you.
So I was a part of a club at Fresno State, and we wanted to bring then council member Tom Boyajian on. And so you may agree with Tom or you may disagree with Tom, but one thing we all agree on is Tom's heart is in the right spot.
Yes.
You may not, and you know what's interesting is Tom and I believe a little bit different. Like I'm a little more conservative than he is. But at the end of the day, I really enjoy talking to him, and I really, really enjoy the stuff that he did on council because you know, his passion, his heart is in the right spot.
Yes.
He cares. And so how that happened is we had to change times because there was a lot going on his schedule. And so he came out, he spoke, and I was very intrigued. And so then, you know, I applied because there was a vacancy. I applied for being a staff analyst is what it was, no, staff assistant is what it was called.
Yes.
And so I got hired there. And so from there, you know, I recognized Tom, how much he cared for the community. He would be out there by Fresno High cleaning graffiti off signs. We were pulling, one day, I'll never ever forget, one day we were driving from a community meeting. We were driving to his house, that's where my car was, and he sees this big tree on Van Ness.
Yes.
Not too far from Clinton. And he says, you know, he pulls over, I go, Tom, what are you doing? It's like 10 o'clock at night. So he decides that he's going to pull that tree out of the way so that people don't get blocked in the morning.
It was a hazard. He was going to fix it.
Huge tree.
Yes.
And so he's pulling this thing, and I go, Tom, are you just going to get it on the sidewalk? He decides that he doesn't want to leave it on the sidewalk because there's kids that are going to be walking to and from school. So he and I grab this tree, and we take it from Fresno High School up till Shields and Van Ness, where at the time his house was, and we put the tree in the garbage right by his house. And so I thought, what a passionate man that no one saw him do it, right? He's not going to get media attention for doing it. He just knew that this tree had fallen, and it was the right thing to do.
And see, you were drawn to that. As a young person, you were drawn to that, and that was partly what got you, and we're going to talk later about sort of the values that get you where you are, but that's what got you there. So you served there, and I recall this, that not only did we have a chance to do the interview on the show in those days, but that I knew you. You were around City Hall engaged in whatever was happening and being a part of that organization as well as the district itself.
So when I worked for Tom, he represented Council District 1. It's now the seat that Councilwoman Soria represents.
Correct.
But there is a train underpass off of Shields and Van Ness.
Yes.
A lot of people know about it. And years ago, that underpass was a mess. It hadn't been cleaned, and it was just, I guess water or oil from the train.
Stood in there, yes.
So Tom was getting complaints, and I can't say enough about his council assistant, Regina Peters, who also is a wonderful, passionate person, who we text here and there still. That's how, the relationship is. And so that needed to be done. So Tom got together community members, including private entities, nonprofits, elected officials. We did Make a Difference Day. And on Make a Difference Day, that was our project. Well, I will tell you, before and after, that thing is beautiful. And again, it wasn't about the press release to the media saying, we coordinated this. It was about beautifying the neighborhood, and that was big for him.
See, I do know that. I'm a resident in that district, and I would be out jogging, and I would see him out there. And yes, he was out jogging, but he stopped and picked up trash, stopped and talked to people continuously, and it was because he was in the office for the right reason. He really did care about the district. So talk some more about. So you were there, and then from there, where did you go?
So I was there, and I finished college there.
Right.
By the way, I want to interrupt and say, for audience members that are wondering why I'm talking a lot, it's because the roles have been reversed for this program. Jackie Ryle, who was supposed to be my guest, is now the host of the program temporarily and is interviewing me, which is pretty cool. So
very cool.
Great idea, Jackie, by the way. From there, I, in college, the early stages of college, I'll tell you that I was never the A student. So I was, I was passing, but, B's and C's. And then what happened is I put my mind on, I wanted to be a police officer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I wanted to be a police officer, so I went on a ride along with a sheriff's deputy. I loved it. But then certain family members are like, we're going to worry about you. We're going to be up all night. We're going to, you're going to be chasing bad people, bad guys. And, we're just going to be worried. So I thought, all right, fine. Let me listen to some of the elders in the family. So I put my mind to studying, and all of a sudden, the toughest classes I started getting A's in. And I go, wait a minute, if I got A's in these classes, what happened before that? I wish I would have applied myself early on, but I'm the first person, and I'm not saying this negatively, but I'm the first person in my family to go to college, and I'm not saying that negatively or putting anybody down.
Fresno State has a real reputation for that. This is true, absolutely.
So
you took the lead.
I did, and so there were things that I didn't really know about because, my parents encouraged me and said, you need to get an education. Yeah. And they did a great job providing an environment for me to study and all that stuff. But they didn't go to Fresno State or college, so they didn't know all the things that, you could do with an education and stuff like that. They knew that I had to get one, encouraged me to get one. So I'm like, wow, I applied myself and I'm getting A's. So then I decided, you know what, I want to go to law school. And so I applied to law school. I got into San Joaquin College of Law because I wasn't ready to leave yet. My parents, and my family were close, we're tight. Even today, we live down the street. My parents live down the street from me. My brother lived 2 blocks away from me. And so we're very tight. And so I wasn't ready to leave my family yet. So I decided, okay, let me go to San Joaquin College of Law. I'm still living at home. Things are good, So I get in and I start doing law school. And, the first year of law school, by the way, I'll tell you, the first year of law school is absolutely hard. It's a different kind of...
It's designed, I know this, it's designed to wash people out.
Yeah.
And if you make it through the first year, then there's that deep dedication and you're going to do it. And a lot of folks don't because they understand that's not for them.
Yeah, it was a challenge.
Yeah.
And you know what? I will have to give a shout out to San Joaquin College of Law because the administration there, the teachers there, the team there, my friends that I met there, I think what a wonderful value add to this area.
Absolutely.
And a
huge
lot of
graduation rate, huge bar pass rate.
So
Yes.
then, okay, so I got done with law school. I was working for Tom and things were great, but I was like, you know what, let me get in somewhere that's law-oriented, obviously, because, this is what I think my career is going to be. So I decided, okay, let me apply for the DA's office. I thought it would be cool to be a prosecutor. I was young. I was like, get those bad guys off of the street. Back then, things were black or white. That's it. No middle area. This person committed a crime, they're done. And I wanted to be the person to, prosecute
Make that
them.
happen.
And so I got the internship, loved it, got certified as a law student. As a law student, argued motions. The legal folks listening to this will know it's a 1538 motion to suppress evidence. Loved it. There was a supervising attorney obviously there, but our role was to defend the officer's stop. Did the officer have probable cause to stop? What a great, in front of a judge, interviewing witnesses, and then finally I tried a case, And so I thought, this is great, I love what I'm doing, but then you'll remember what happened, economy tanked.
Right.
Economy tanks, and the people that are training me are almost out of jobs.
Right.
And I'll never, ever forget this, ever. And I'll tell my kids this one day. I went to a gas station in the bottom of the economy. I went to a gas station and I'm filling gas. And I saw a defense attorney, well known, I'm not going to mention names. And I was always like, wow, this guy's always sharp dressed. He's good at what he does. I saw him at a gas station and he told me, so what are you up to? I haven't seen you around. I said, well, I'm getting ready to take the bar and, I'm almost done with law school. He told me, right now things aren't good for lawyers. He said, things are challenging for me. If, I just want to let you know, this is what's on the horizon. So I was like, man, I'm studying for the bar, but I'm like, should I put my heart in it if there's no jobs and we don't know when this thing's going to turn around? You remember, people were losing houses and I wanted to buy a home.
Yes.
So I start studying for the bar, and I've taken the bar a couple of times. I'll be the first to admit that I haven't passed it. And I'll tell you why. I thought my heart was in it, but I didn't apply myself.
Kind of like when you were in school.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
good point.
That's right.
So at the time then, a friend of mine said, you know what, the United Way is hiring. It's an initiative through the Schwarzenegger administration, the FDIC, the local mayor. They are hiring for someone to coordinate the Bank on Fresno program. And they're like, you're good with managing money. I'm cheap or frugal. I don't like to spend unnecessarily. I was always cautious about credit.
It's called good stewardship.
And I was always cautious about credit.
Yes.
So I got my credit card at 18.
Yes.
And I've always been pay on time, use it as a tool. So they're like, you can practice, some of this stuff. You could teach some of this stuff through the
Right.
program. I interviewed and I got hired, and I was the only one with a law degree to apply, because everyone with a law degree is becoming a lawyer, making real money. But just kidding. But
I know. And there's a different kind of reward here, because what I'm hearing from you and what I've seen from you is that this is another track. This is a community service track of a different type.
It was. And you know what? The work we put together with a team of financial institutions, community groups, we put together a financial education program that went all over the county of Fresno. And so sitting in those sessions, I wasn't the one always teaching, it was always an expert, but we were getting the message across. And there have been some success stories from people who, are no longer keeping money in their mattress, but it's in a financial institution and it's protected. So I did that for 3 years. Then we decided to take it another step and actually include a financial service center at the United Way.
Right.
So I start coordinating that, and we're building credit. And during that time, you'll remember modifications were huge.
Yes, I do.
Home modifications.
Right.
So we were dealing with folks that maybe were down on their luck. They had a home, down on their luck, but needed to modify the terms of the contract.
Work ourselves back out of the.
Right.
Yep.
So we brought partners together. It was called the Spark Point Fresno Center.
I remember.
Very wonderful center, helped a lot of people. But the funding, because you've been involved in nonprofits, Jackie, funding is not always there, and it's tough to come by in this area.
Yep.
So then I'm like, all right, well, funding is starting to sunset, and maybe I should get back to the law stuff. So I dust off my Barbary, which is the company, it's one of the many companies. So then I start reading the bar, but then I had a friend of mine send me something saying Supervisor Pachigan is hiring. You might want to apply for this position. And I thought, Supervisor Pachigan is a wonderful person. She's very conservative, and she's very good because she makes sure she's studied up on issues, and she reads every line. As a Board of Supervisors member, she read every line of the agendas. So I said, you know what, I can learn a lot from her. And I knew her dad because I grew up at Central Unified, and so that's west of 99. And her dad was a part of the school district there, and then became a supervisor there. I thought, you know what, this would be such a cool opportunity for me. So I applied, I got interviewed, and then I got the job. And I thought, wow, you know what, I became a board member assistant.
So this is sort of a natural evolution here.
And you know what's,
when you look back.
It's always funny, Jackie, every time I pull out the bar stuff because I want to study for the bar, it's like life detours me. And so I'm like, this is twice now that, I've wanted to sit and study and really get to the bar, but life has kind of thrown a U-turn my way.
Sevag, at this point, I want to ask you about this. And there's more, I know that, but we only have a little bit of time. So I want to ask you this. I've seen, and I've talked to you, and I know you, a man of deeply held values, and you have shared with the community over time some really wonderful pieces in the Fresno Bee about your heritage and about your own personal ethical. Would you just say a little bit about that? Would you talk about that deeply held value?
Sure. My grandparents, so my grandpa and my great-grandparents are genocide survivors.
Yes.
If you're in the area, Fresno County or the Valley, you've heard of something called the Armenian Genocide.
Yes,
my grandpa actually left an audio tape of what he saw as a 5-year-old kid. And so I have that audio tape. The things he saw while he was being moved from his house, they were, things 5-year-olds shouldn't see, but things that he remembered, like the dad locking the door one last time. Because one thing people don't understand or may not realize is Armenians in the Ottoman Empire, a lot of them were well off. They had farms, businesses. My family had farms. They were cotton farmers.
Right.
So, they were forced to leave that life or get killed. And so along the way, a lot of family members got lost and stuff like that. So that's actually my grandpa, and that's actually my great-grandparents that actually did this. We're not talking someone, maybe, I might have known them. No, this was actually my family.
And they passed the stories to you.
They passed the stories, and they wanted us always to remember where we come from and remember humanity.
Right.
My grandma always, so from historic Armenia, present-day Turkey, they went to the Middle East. Well, I have a grandma from Lebanon, and what happened in the 70s in Lebanon? The Civil War.
Right.
So after the genocide, they build a home in Lebanon, and in the 70s, there's this bad war. So there's, bombs dropping and everything, and my grandma always said, whether you're a believer or not, always said, just wish everybody well and pray and, thank God for whatever you have, because, whatever little you have, there's always someone worse. And so here you have a lady whose bomb is falling and destroying her house, and a bomb actually hit my grandpa's brother, and he passed away. So seeing all this, and for her to always be positive and sing, and in her later life here in the United States, for her to always be positive, no matter what life threw her way, I thought, we have no reason to complain here, no matter what our circumstances is. And so that's where that whole love comes from, is the way I was raised.
Right. And so those are the values that you get. And so you take those then, and those then manifest in your life. And so what I've been able to see you do in our whole community is to take those, invest in the community in the ways that you had, the ways that you've shared with us, as well as share your experience, your information, your values in those, I mean, I always read, and I know you know I do because I always email you. I always read your columns, which are so important. I mean, they're so important, that sharing of information, and that then brings you into community. And the other thing that I've been able to see, which is another way for you to continue to share your values, is that from being a young 17-year-old, you have married and have a family. Say a little bit about that.
So yeah, and before I get there, I want to say the Fresno Bee, I have nothing but the utmost respect for the Fresno Bee. Jim Boren, who was there and retired, Bill McEwen, who is now doing other things and was there. You know, it was really, Bill McEwen, you know, was the one that said, write something every 6 weeks, positive, you know, because he noticed that my writing is, a lot of it is positive. And so, you know, I have nothing but appreciation for them. They still keep putting my work in.
They do.
I'm glad for that.
Yeah.
My family, you know what? I've got 3 small boys, and so we're at the time of recording this, one is going to be 5, one's going to be 4, and one's going to be 2. And then, you know, I just want to give them, I want to teach them what's important for life. Look, I'll be the first to tell you, if I passed the bar, or if I would have put my heart in the bar and passed it, I could have went to private sector and made a lot of money. You know how it is. Personality is important, contacts are important.
Yes.
But I want my kids to realize, you know what? That's not what life is really about.
Right.
I know some very wealthy people, and they've told me appreciate everything that you have, because money will not always bring you happiness. And it's true, look around at what's happening. And so I want my kids to understand, make a good living, but don't go after the money. And so that's, you know.
It's not about the money. And so the model that you have provided and that we sort of talked about this evening is investment in your community.
It is, because you know what? Look, we went to Central, you know, and so I have nothing but respect for Central Unified Schools and the west side of 99. You know, I'll never forget, someone came over one day and said, oh, you live in the west of 99. I don't know, is it safe in your neighborhood? I said, let me tell you about my neighbors on Brown Avenue. If they don't know who you are and you drive by, they're going to be sure to be on the lookout for you. I live on Brown Avenue, west of 99, and I have not seen a neighborhood be so, like, there are people in that neighborhood, they have potlucks together, they watch for each other. I mean, it's such a, like, we say hello to our neighbors. True story, when I had our kid, you know, when you have a baby, the woman has the baby, but we both have the baby.
We all have the baby, that's right.
We all have the baby. Some people are like, oh, your wife's pregnant. No. We're both pregnant.
That's right.
We're in it together.
That's right.
So, you know, my neighbor cut my grass for the longest time. And I'd be like, why are you cutting my grass? He said, look, you had a new baby and you have 2 older kids. You need to spend time with your kids. And I thought, this neighbor is cutting my grass. So the roles are reversed. Now I'm cutting his grass as a thank you.
He's got a baby.
But it's that kind of
Yes.
things that I like, that, you know, the barbecue that you smell and the neighbor says, hey, come on over, have a taco, or, you know, and that's what, you don't get those kind of things. When I was growing up, I got that. And so that's why those are important to me.
So putting that all together, what you're saying is Fresno is a good place to live. It's a good place to have a family and raise a family.
It is.
And to invest yourself, to be a part of.
It is. And you know what? We get a bad rap. And sometimes I complain about Fresno too, our air quality and stuff like that. But you know what? At the end of the day, there's more good in this town than there's bad. And there's more good in this valley than there is bad. And there are some people that really, you're one of them, that care about this place and care about making this place better.
See, Sevag, and I knew that, and that was why I sort of wanted to reverse the tables tonight as I was thinking about us talking together. You've interviewed me before, and I loved it, and it was a lot of fun. The Sevag Tadeusian story, though, is one that really does need to be told once in a while, and we hear it in bits and pieces when we see your articles and when we get a chance to talk to you, but I don't know that we've ever sat down and had you tell the whole thing.
Well, I hope I did good, because I was kind of on the fly. I didn't realize until we sat in the chair that, you know, you want to interview me. But I think my message, what I want people to understand, is there's more to life than what we really think.
Yeah.
There's more. I mean, you know, that person that's out in front of the studio right now that maybe is down on their luck, that person has a story. And I bet you, if you ask, that story could be remarkable. Sure, it's easy for us to dismiss that person. Oh, you know, he should get a job or she should get a job, whatever. But you know what? we all have interesting stories, and there's more to life than what we realize.
Always, always. And so when there's an opportunity to tell that, I think we should do that. It was interesting because I'll tell you what happened. When I was coming down here, I was going to ask you, I was kind of surprised that you allowed it to happen tonight. And I was thrilled because I was going to say, well, we need to do that. And you said, well, yeah, okay, we can do that. So as we're just a couple of minutes away from the end of our time, what else that I haven't asked or that have come to mind that you think would be really good and important to put in your life here?
People who see me, they see me, I'm always energized, I'm always excited, and I'm always positive. Well, you know what? I had cluster headaches. I have cluster headaches.
Oh,
and if
yes.
you don't know what cluster headaches are, they're the bear of all headaches. Yeah. But you know what? Everybody has struggles. And my message to people is, no matter what your situation is, there are people in our community, and especially around the world, that would love to trade places for you. So instead of complaining, let's remember all the positives, and let's not downside or downplay what we have here. Whether you're low income, whether you're whatever, it could be worse. So just remember that. And I remember that every day.
That's a great message, Sevag, that runs through all of your life. As you've shared with us here this evening, and as have you actually demonstrated, as we've been able to watch, because the things that you have done have all been, to some degree, they've been public things. They've been things that are out there that other people can see, that we all know that there's a benefit from those. And clearly, you didn't do that for that reason. So we're less than a minute. So how about closing us off here this evening, Sevag?
Well, thank you, Jackie. I mean, the roles have been reversed here. You know what? About 600 interviews I've done, you're the first person that said, let me interview you. So that's why I didn't want to turn you down, because I thought this is a very interesting aspect. And I'm actually in the guest chair with all the lights on me now. But I will
And you've done a wonderful job, by the way.
Thank you. And you've done I mean, you know what? You're a natural.
Thank you. And we just completed the loop.
We just did. That's all for this edition of the Central Valley Ledger. If you were wondering why I was talking a little more this time around for this interview, because I was originally hoping to interview Jackie Ryle. Well, for those of you who know or don't know, Jackie had her own TV show, and I was on that. One of my first interviews that I did was on Jackie's TV show. So the roles were reversed. She wanted to interview me. It just happened. We didn't plan this, and so I hope that you enjoyed the program. Thank you to our volunteer crew that make this production and every production possible. Paul Starcevic is the one making us look and sound good. Thank you also to those watching this broadcast on CMAC, Comcast 93 and AT&T 99, and to those listening on KFSR 90.7 FM. Again, thank you, Jackie Ryle, for reversing the roles on us for this interview. Tune in next week to a new edition.
KFSR and CMAC present the Central Valley Ledger every Sunday morning at 11:30. For a complete program schedule, visit kfsr.org.